Esaenai el Eharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Esaenai el Eharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz Ha'itein lamod raglecha al yanum shomrecha hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael Adonai Shomrecha Adonai Tzilcha Ayad Yeminecha Adonai Shomrecha Adonai Tzilcha Ayad Yeminecha Yomam HaShemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla Adonai yishmorcha mikora Yishmor et nafshecha Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam al mekoma tavo v'shalom We begin with a psalm, Shir LaMa'alot, a song for those who ascend. Esainai el heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. You see, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. God will guard your going and coming, now and forever. May Bernice Walder go unto God in peace. Hatzur tamim paulo kichod rachab mishpat el emun aveinav el tzadik v'yashar hu tzadik atadon elamidu lachayod asher piyadcha pikadon korochot chalila lichra zichronin olimchot v'yihiyu nainecha barachamim aleinu v'kuchot ki lechadon harachamim v'haslichot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam Dayan ha'emet. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who is the judge of truth. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yishem Adonai mevorach, v'hu rachum yechaper avon v'lo yashchid, v'hirba lashiva po, v'lo yair kol chamato, v'yashov ve'afar al haaretz shehaya, ve'aruach tashuv el Elohim asher netana. The dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May our beloved soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal, and may God send comfort to those who mourn and grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. We are here today to honor Bernice Walder. Bracha bar Avraham Alevi Verivka, daughter of Abraham and Ray Zapersky, Zichronam Livracha, of blessed memory. We are here to pay tribute to her, to show her the ultimate respect we have in Jewish tradition of accompanying her here to her final resting place, and to say goodbye. Bernice passed away Monday, the 28th day in the Hebrew month of Kislev. She was 95. She is lovingly remembered and survived by her husband of 68 years, Alan, her daughters and sons-in-law, Marilyn and Lorne, Sharon and Lorne, her grandchildren, Alex and Natan and Mitchell, her great-grandchildren, Shalev, Boaz, and Nava, as well as her niece and nephew and their families, Andrea and Terry, Danny and Amy, Ella, Sophie and Rhea, Lisa and Dave, Brianne and Noah, Joel, Amy, Esther, and Joelle, as well by her son-in-law Lorne Pollock's children, Kara, Megan, and Thomas, and by her son-in-law Lorne Billenkoff's parents, Lou and Ruth. Bernice was predeceased by her sister, Bess, and brother-in-law, Martin, as well as her parents, Abe and Ray. It's difficult, truly difficult, when families cannot be together physically in the same place for these important moments. But today, I know we are all thankful for the technology that allows us to broadcast this service, for all of you who have tuned in to watch us as we honor Bernice today. We are thankful for the ways we still have of joining our hearts together, phone calls, emails, text messages. It's true that nothing replaces the warmth of a hug, but I encourage all of you watching and listening to reach out to Bernice's loved ones today and over the next week of Shiva in these now familiar ways. And I am also personally thankful that even though Sharon, Bernice's daughter, cannot be here, that she has written a eulogy that I will have the honor of reading in just a moment. As an introduction to this eulogy, I would say that what I have learned about Bernice Walder from speaking with her children is that she was a genuinely kind and happy person. Something that is kind of rare in this life. She was sweet, friendly, and talkative. She enjoyed and shared a bright, positive outlook on life. She never complained and rarely got mad. Unless, of course, she discovered that you had poured her borscht down the drain in the kitchen sink when she left the room for a couple of minutes. She was born in Winnipeg, September 8, 1925, and she grew up in the North End with her older sister, Bess. First, the family lived on Church Street, then later, Boyd and McGregor. Their father, Honest Abe, as his customers called him, was a butcher and later ran a grocery store. Later on, the Zapersky family boldly moved south to Elm Street. And Bernice, in a move almost unheard of at the time for women in her generation, went to the University of Manitoba and got an arts degree, majoring in French. After a short stint working as a secretary, she retired and became a full-time wife, mother, and homemaker. That was because she had met Alan Walder, an established pharmacist a few years older than she, a veteran of the Canadian Army's Medical Corps who had recently returned from service. They met at a Jewish singles dance. The story goes, the first young lady Alan asked for a dance turned him down, complaining of sore feet. And it's a good thing, because then he asked Bernice, and the rest is history. 68 years of married life together, which includes, I might add, videos that will live on the internet of them side by side, just recently in the Simpkins Center, where they lived the last 3 years, doing exercises and smiling. It's a family that spans 4 generations. It's a marriage that includes lifelong friends with memories of different trips and Saturday nights spent at the El Morocco nightclub or the Ray and Jerry's lounge at a table for 12. It really is a good thing that that first lady's feet hurt and that Alan asked Bernice to dance. Now I have the honor of sharing the hesped, the eulogy, written by Sharon. First of all, on behalf of my dad, Alan, sister, Marilyn, the 2 Lornes, and Mom's grandchildren and great-grandchildren, thank you to those of you here in person and virtually for coming together to honor the life of my mother. It's hard to sum up someone's whole life in a few words, especially when that someone is your mother and has lived for over 95 years, but I will try. Mom's early years were spent happily in the North End, growing up close to her parents, sister, and extended family of aunts, uncles, and cousins. She would often tell me stories of her youth, and I think that her kind, sweet personality was formed in those years, growing up in a close and loving home. She and her sister, my Auntie Bess, formed a closeness that was to last their entire lives. Even though when they were young, at times I'm sure my aunt would try to avoid her little sister and hang out with her own friends. Mom loved to tell stories about the trip that she took to California with my grandparents after my grandfather sold his store and prior to her meeting my dad. She never tired of telling me that she had met Lucille Ball when they were both shopping in a hat store. Again, family figured heavily in these stories, as she would tell me about the cousins who they stayed with and who showed them around Los Angeles. Once Mom met Dad at a Jewish singles dance, that was it for her. 68 years later, they were still as happy as ever. They were married on March 16, 1952, and just like the family that she came from, she and my dad created a strong and loving family in our house on Oak Street. It was there that she perfected her cooking and baking skills and started making the cinnamon twists and honey cake that she would bake for the rest of her life, except for the last few years or so. Her honey cake was a staple at every family gathering, bar, and bat mitzvah, and I know that many of them ended up in Toronto with me, as she made one for me every time I came to visit. Our house on Oak Street was a gathering spot for our entire extended family, and we all spent many Friday nights there with my grandparents, with Auntie Bess and Uncle Martin, and Andrea and Joel, and later Terry and the next generation of cousins, eating dinner and then going downstairs for a rousing game of ping pong on the table that doubled as her laundry table. Later, when Marilyn and Lauren got married and started their own family, that tradition continued, and then shifted to my parents' condo on Swindon Way with a huge outdoor patio, perfect for family and close friends and get-togethers. Mum was a kind, loving, and generous woman who would go to any lengths necessary to help her family. I remember when Marilyn and I were young and had to get up to go to school on cold, miserable Winnipeg winter mornings, Mum would put our clothes in the dryer for a few minutes to warm them up so they would be nice and toasty when we went outside to face the minus 40-degree weather. When I met Lauren and he came into the family, my mother welcomed him in the same way that she had welcomed When I met Lauren and he came into the family, my mother welcomed him in the same way that she had welcomed Winnipeg Lauren many years before. In her eyes, just like her mother before her, her sons-in-law could do no wrong, much to Marilyn and my chagrin. Often she would say to me, "Oh, Lauren works so hard," just like my grandmother used to say to her, "Leave Al alone, he works so hard." She was also a very good friend and attracted new friends easily. I can remember she was always busy during the day, playing mahjong with one group of friends, bridge with another set, and bowling on both a Wednesday afternoon ladies' league and a Sunday night Mr. and Mrs. League. Of course, she had her special lifelong friends, whom she always was willing to help, no matter what they needed or how long they needed to talk to her. Her phone line was always open for them to reach her, which sometimes created problems when Marilyn or I were trying to call and say hello. Most of all, Mum was devoted and a devoted wife to my dad. In the early years, she took on the majority of the household chores and child-rearing challenges, as my dad was always working so hard. In later years, once he had sold his store and things eased up a bit, and they were able to take vacations, they became avid travelers, going to Florida, Mexico, Maui, and later on Palm Springs, where they were always eager to have us visit them. Those were good years. But most of all, she was a wonderful partner to my dad, becoming his eyes once his started to fail, spending time reading the newspaper to him, reading him the mail, and looking after his every need. They became inseparable, and that's the way they both wanted it. At the end, when she had her own health challenges, he was there for her, just as she had been there for him all those years. So today, let's not be sad. Let's celebrate the long and happy life my mom led and the legacy of love that she leaves behind. As she said to me almost every day on the phone, "All is well, and enjoy every minute." Thank you, Mum, for your love and devotion. We will always love you and cherish your memory. Thank you, Sharon, for writing and for allowing me to read such a beautiful eulogy, a hesped, in honor of your mother. I will offer one more prayer in English, and then in Hebrew and English, the traditional memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim. Eternal God, Master of Mercy, give us the gift of remembering. May our memories of Bernice be tender and true, undiminished by time. Let us recall her and love her as she was. Shelter us with the gift of tears. Let us express our sense of loss, our sorrow, our pain, as well as our love, and even words unspoken. Bless us with the gift of prayer, that we may face you with an open heart, with trusting faith, unembarrassed and unashamed. Strengthen us with the gift of hope, that we may always believe in the beauty of life, the power of goodness, and our right to joy. May we surrender our being and the soul of our beloved to your all-knowing compassion. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Amtsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, B'malot Kedoshim Uteorim, Kezohar Arakia Mazhirim, En Nishmat Bracha Bar Avram Alevi Verivka, She'alcha Le'olama, Began, Edente Menuchata, Hanabal Harachamim, Hastirea Besete Kenafecha Leolamim, Utzror, Bitzror Achaim Enishmata, Adonai Hu Nachalata, V'tanuach B'shalom Amishkava, B'nomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Bernice Walder, Bracha Bat Avraham Halevi Verivka, the daughter of Abraham and Ray, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that she find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen. Again, I want to thank our pallbearers, our community pallbearers who continue to help us during these very difficult times with our code red restrictions. We appreciate your time so much. I want to thank the family members who are here, and I want to thank everyone who has tuned in. We feel your presence, and I encourage you, as I did before, to continue to reach out with your messages so that this next week of Shiva, which is strange under these times, can still be one where Bernice's loved ones feel your love. And I want to thank Sharon again for sending the eulogy and allowing me to read it on her behalf. In a moment, we will conclude our service with the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish, and then the family members who are here will be able to shovel a little earth into the grave, a tradition that is so familiar for us, so difficult in these times, an extension of what I mentioned at the beginning. The highest respect we have in Jewish tradition is to take care of our loved ones until the very end, to bring them here, and then to bury them with our own hands, kind, knowing, sorrowful hands, hands that once held their hands. For many, it is a painful act, but it is still a mitzvah, a commandment, a righteous act we do without hope of reward, something selfless for someone who meant so much. And that's why it's more than just a painful act. It is something born of love and compassion for a very special person. A person who, I may add, her Hebrew name, bracha, means blessing. Which is why today, to the family I say, Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar Avelei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May you be comforted and consoled among all those in mourning, or who have ever been in mourning. And why I repeat words that we offered at the beginning of our service, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach yehi shem Adonai mevorach. These words are from Job, the epitome of Jewish suffering. God you have given, God you have taken, blessed be the name of God. May Bernice's memory be a blessing, as we mark that her essence will never leave our hearts and our souls. The Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shemei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who creates peace and harmony on high bring peace and harmony to us, to all Israel, and to all of humanity. And one more time, let us say, Amen. Thank you to everyone for tuning in.